Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream scene. I hope you guys are doing well. We've got an awesome show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about fitness and fitness in this current climate. I'm joined here by my lovely co-host, the Tomination Time. What's up, Tomination?
I'm the co-host today. I'm the co-host. Oh my.
The Hunter Wild.
I didn't know it.
What's up, Hunter? How you doing?
Yeah, there's a lot of obligation with this, Tom. You need to know.
What did I sign up for?
A lot of things have changed with fitness stuff, with people sitting at home, whether it comes to access to the gym, dietary shifts, the way that our anxiety tends to change, and navigating all that stuff, all the complexities. We fortunately have some help with that today with Danotage and Tomination Time. Tomination Time. Working it.
You just call me Tom too.
If y'all wouldn't mind introducing yourselves, fight for dominance to see who goes first, and tell us who you are, why you're here. Oh, wow.
What a fight.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah. Hey, powerlifting, it's all about humility and kindness to each other. It's actually a very kind sport.
Oh my God.
Dan.
Yeah, actually, we'll talk about the social aspect later because I was in bodybuilding and that's the worst place to be. But my name's Dan or Danotage. You guys may know me from another StreamerSquare show called Dan's Stream of Thought, where we just play with each other's emotions and we think about each other and we talk about things that sometimes make sense and sometimes don't. But I'm Dan, and we'll be talking about all kinds of cool stuff today.
Yeah, my name's Tom from Tomination Time. I do diet and fitness streaming here in my home gym. You might be able to see some of the cameras from around. But basically, I run a small side business for a coaching service. But the main thing is I do the diet and fitness streaming, work out my home gym, and do Q&A and help people get started. There's a lot of confusion out there, and I like to focus on the evidence-based stuff. Basically, the science. What does the science say? Not what does the latest guru or latest trend say. So that's where I come from, and I just love helping people. So I'm here, with Loco and Hunter.
It's great. It's great having you back because I know we've talked about this a few times. So if you guys have missed our previous episodes on fitness, highly recommend checking those out. But I want to talk about how fitness looks like in today's environment. I want to talk to you guys, on a personal level. How has the current climate affected you guys and your routines?
I mean, for me, I'm kind of lucky because home gym master race. I have my home gym here behind me, my power rack you can see there, and honestly, it hasn't really affected me much. Yeah, the power rack. Oh my. It hasn't really impacted me. I'm doing great, but I know a lot of people out there need some help and some tips with just they have nothing now. What can they do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, getting that all started is tough. I mean, I've been looking for it ever since this all started, and everything's been sold out like crazy. So not only are you never going to see, or you're not going to say never, but like not going to see any sales happening, but you're not going to see most things in stock anymore. So yeah, people are going crazy and just gobbling it all up. So that's been tough. My workout has gone to less strength training and more cardio, and actually like staying in shape and not losing what I have, because when we were talking about this in the pre-show, as long as you're moving, your body tends to remember what it was doing before, and when you go back, as long as it's not too long, you'll be okay.
Into a maintenance mode.
Yeah, because like, I mean, we talked about diet too. It's like you have to. I'm bad at changing my diet. I'm good at like changing it eventually over time, but changing it so quickly like that was been tough. So like, you can't just sit on the couch and do nothing forever, because you're making excuses for yourself and eating a bunch of food. But I still gotta, I'm still working on getting my stomach back to what it was used to eating, and not, going crazy.
Yeah, for me, I started going, when I moved to Texas in August, I started going to the gym regularly. I had a trainer and had a really nice routine where I was going like 3 to 4 times a week in the mornings. I was like running up to 5 miles in some sessions, which is something I've never done before. But I was like having a fun competition with my dad, who's still on the East Coast, and kind of like texting pictures of our runs to each other to go back and forth. Cool. And so I built this really nice routine, loved going to the gym. And then this happens, and It's been a hard adjustment. I've honestly struggled a lot. You know, it's to get to where I was at, like you have all these machines and you have like people there that help you and you have like routine set up, right? And this is like completely the opposite. I go from a nice gym to I've got some stuff around the house. I bought a 10-pound medicine ball that I'm getting creative with. I've tried Ring Fit too, so that's been so that's been pretty fun. But yeah, it's definitely been very challenging. Hunter, what about you? What does your schedule look like?
Schedule.
my schedule in regard to fitness.
I mean, if you want to get into like a very deep psychological breakdown of your schedule, but yes, fitness.
What is schedule?
I mean, the problem for me that I'm facing right now is dealing with injury, which is also something I talked to. I think Dan, we talked about that on stream at some point last year too. I think you were dealing with. I'm still
dealing with something similar. I've got nerve damage. I soon figured out that it's throughout here, and I now do stretches, and it helps a lot. To where I was feeling numb in both my pinkies and ring fingers.
That's so nerve,
and that came from lifting, because like you work on things, and before you get your form fully down, or when you do. When you start working on muscles you haven't used in a long time, it starts to change and if it doesn't grow properly, you have problems with it. So I fixed that. I'm much better now, but yeah, that was definitely injury, and injury is something I'm very familiar with.
I'm still working on the fixing it stage. So for about the last 2 months, I haven't been working out. I could have shifted things from basically my full body routines over to just doing legs and doing some core stuff and avoiding the use of my shoulder. But I got a shoulder injury from the very high intensity sleeping that I do. I woke up with the shoulder injury, and that has put a serious damper on my fitness over the last couple of months. I'm really excited to bring that back in. But previously, I was mostly, and this is not advice that anybody should ever take, is to like have no rest days. But I was essentially working out 7 days a week, pretty heavily. With very, very little rest. I usually would take what should have been the yoga that I would do for a rest day, and I would just add that on to the normal day's routine.
Oh man.
But I did see results very quickly, which is nice.
That's good.
It's not a recommendation and the likelihood is that in my opinion, this is unprofessional, that the shoulder injury that I got from sleeping actually started from working out and probably related to it. It's not an unreasonable assumption that it's related to not taking those rest days, just overexerting it, straining it, and stressing it too much. And then something as simple as sleeping with my arm under the pillow just really amplified it. So
with injury, one school of thought is not that you did too much, you're under recovered. It's an equation of too much load for your current capacity for whatever you're at. So in terms of stress on the body, a lot of times is viewed in terms of like stress buckets. You could be sleeping on a weird couch and that might be okay, or you could be exercising. All right, okay, an amazing couch, best couch ever. Or you could be exercising 7 days a week for a little bit. I don't recommend that for a long time.
Yeah.
But you put them both together, then that could be the recipe for injury, where that was just you exceeded your ability to recover.
Yeah.
So
absolutely makes sense.
I just imagine Hunter like doing the Ron Swanson where he's just sleep boxing, and then he threw one haymaker and it just went out of whack.
Oh.
So, Tomination, I know you stream fitness regularly on your channel. Dan, do you do any fitness streaming?
So no, I do not right now, but I'm in the process of, and the whole, like another reason why I'm looking into putting a little bit of investment into a home gym is not only because I don't have a gym right now, but because it would be easier to create content. I belong to a powerlifting gym owned by a family. It's just mom, pop, and son and daughter. So they're very much cool with me filming there, but obviously streaming is a little bit tougher.
It's a little awkward.
Yeah, so I'll be creating a YouTube channel coming soon where that's all going to be edited and stuff like that. But I'd like to be able to do stuff here at home. So soon, hopefully, TM.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, I know it's definitely I know more and more people are starting to build out their home gyms, especially like with things that are like how things are going right now, there's a lot more motivation to do that. Tom, like what kind of common struggles have you seen from your viewers? Like what conversation has risen from, you know, people having to make these adjustments?
Oh man, all kinds of problems. So one of the things you guys mentioned earlier was I had my routine and now I don't. I was doing XYZ with weightlifting and I don't have these. What do I do with that? Or I was dieting and eating all these good foods and now I can't, or it's a lot harder. Or I was doing barbell training, now I can't. I was doing this cardio, now I can't. So I think a lot of the solutions for those issues comes with understanding what was that activity doing for you and what's an equivalent you can do at home. That's one strategy anyway. So like, Loco, you're doing the machines and stuff, right? Like, can you list some that you miss that you wish you could do at home?
Yeah. The names of them.
Or just describe the motion. Describe what it is. It looks like.
The arms.
Okay, sorry to put you on the spot.
So
I did a lot of different arm
you mean
ones.
tricep extensions, right?
Yes,
Tricep
the extensions
So-
and then the curls.
Yes. So
Okay,
like,
okay.
elbow flexion extension or basically
Yes.
curls and tricep movements, right? So to replace that at home, there's a couple of ways to go. One is you find some sort of weighted movement that can mimic that. So it could be as simple as getting a gallon jug of water to mimic it. And you might be thinking like, okay, Tom, but I was doing like 20-pound curls and this gallon jug can only do it's only 8 pounds or whatever. It's a lot lighter. What do I do with that? This is where other training modalities can kind of make up for the fact that you're limited on equipment. So these phrases you might have heard of, things like tempo work, time under tension, slow eccentrics, shorter rest periods. These types of things are generally speaking useful as an accessory during typical training under normal conditions. But right now we don't have normal conditions. We have limited equipment. So doing stuff like time under tension might be the only way for you to try to progress and challenge yourself. So I'll give an example.
Like what?
Let's say you are doing time under tension.
What?
So what is what is so what is time under tension? So let me explain that.
Time
under tension.
Under tension. Sweet Christmas. Got there.
Under tension.
Okay.
So like slowing down your workout.
I'll explain it. Yeah. So basically, like if you're going to do a curl, maybe you would have spent like, okay, I'll do extensions because that's a little bit easier to see. I was going to do like an extension of like 30 pounds or get a band to do 30 pounds, right? I do as hard as fast as I can. Hard and fast. But then if you can no longer do that, it's you got to find some other equipment to use, like a gallon, a gallon jug. Then what you could do, you put it behind your head and you go slow. And you try to do like a 3-second up, 3 seconds down.
I've been doing that with the medicine ball. I've been doing that.
So by slowing down the tempo, that is a way that you can basically make the same weight more challenging and try to find progression again. And this concept can be applied in a lot of different ways. Like you could just do more sets, more reps, shorter rest periods. Basically turn it into kind of like HIIT cardio. Drop sets. If you've heard of drop sets, this is also a good one too. So let's just say you're doing. Yeah. so the latest loot scheme. So like, let's just say like an example of a drop set. Like, let's just say you want to do leg press, you want to do squats, but you have no equipment. Okay. Let's use the gallon jug example. You could do a weighted squat, like a goblet squat, where you basically hold the gallon jug to your chest and then you just squat down as many times as you can. As you're fatigued and tired, you drop the weight. And then you just do as many reps as you can of a lighter exercise version, which would be just basic air squats. This is an example of a drop set, and this is a way that I could challenge you when you have limited equipment. And I think this is the kind of mindset we got to think of. Okay, I had this routine. What are equivalent substitutes? What was it doing for me? How can I substitute things out? So generally speaking, almost everything is a push movement, a pull movement, or a leg movement. You can further subdivide beyond that for hip hinging versus flexion extension. But the general idea is you got push, pull, legs. Try to find equivalents for home.
Okay, so for those of us that are not as creatively inclined, what are some common, like around the house objects and like exercises that you can do? Like you mentioned, like the milk jug of milk. Like what are some more examples?
If you have a backpack, you can load the backpack with books. If you have, honestly, like get sandbags from a hardware store. You could do all kinds. You can be creative. It's just a matter of what's comfortable and can you find some sort of workout that will mimic this. Even though equipment is a little bit hard to find, it's starting to come back in stock. So for some basic equipment, I highly recommend if you can get a simple set of adjustable dumbbells that's like 20 pounds, it shouldn't cost more than $40, even with coronavirus prices.
I can get the at-home stuff real quick. I'll go do that.
Yeah. And some resistance bands and a pull-up bar. If you get those, you could do a lot. And I'll post a link in chat for stuff that you can do. So I'm posting a link to my website, TominationTime.com/gym. I have some links to different types of gym equipment that can be found on Amazon, and also a training guide, Tomination or bit.ly Tom's training. And on page 7, I list a simple push-pull legs routine you can use with some simple dumbbells, resistance bands, and a pull-up bar. It shouldn't be that hard to find some of those equipment. And so I think you can do a lot with that. I think Dan has something he's going to show us. But I'll say really quick, one last thing about the pull-up bar. People might be thinking like, I can't do pull-ups. Why should I even get that? Pull-up progression is the key. Google for these things. Like, how can I do pull-up progression? And then you can do negatives, for example, for pull-ups to progress to a regular pull-up. A pull-up negative is you jump up in the air and you lower yourself slowly. And then you slowly get stronger that way until you can do like 5-6 negatives. And then maybe you can transition to doing a single pull-up where you do some kipping or some momentum, and then try to do a couple of those and start transitioning to doing less and less momentum and make it more and more controlled. The key term to Google for is progression. I cannot do push-ups. How can I do push-up progression? And you start seeing there's these routines that you can do to progress for push-ups. For example, I'm going to do incline push-ups, or angled push-ups or incline push-ups. Then I'm gonna do knee push-ups, and now I'm gonna do regular push-ups. So push-up progression is the key term.
Yeah, no, I'm there right now with that.
Darking it.
Well, so these things, this is like
band.
it's like $5. This was like $3. Like these are, and I have 2 of each. Pretty much anything you do, you can just add bands. It just makes it more resistant. The thing I brought in was with the sandbag that Tom was talking about earlier, but this one I just filled with like gravel. So it's probably 70 pounds ish, which is like, it's not much, but it has grips on front end, back end, different supinated grips. You got side grips, but you're doing exactly what Tom was talking about earlier, where you can figure out a way to pull, figure out a way to push, and you can actually throw it on your back and do some leg stuff too. There's just and that's like, the bag itself is like $30, and then the stuff I got from Home Depot for like $5-10 a bag, and then I got like 3 bags. So yeah, it's small stuff that is good for like me maintaining and stuff like that. I'm not going to get stronger doing it, but it's going to at least keep me moving, which is the big thing.
Yeah, help maintain what you've worked towards already.
And here's another example of the bands. These are actually called resistance tubes because they're little tubes, but these are very adjustable, and you can just pop them out and then swap out the band. It's just a handle. You swap out a new band on it, and then that can change up the resistance. You could attach this to your door. They come with door attachments, or to a post or whatever. You could do rows. You could do all kinds of pull, pushing, and leg movements.
Interesting.
But at the end of the day, what a lot of people like, if most people are just caring about general health, what can I do to min-max my health right now and try to maintain whatever I had before? And my simple answer is this: do some kind of cardio. Anything that's enjoyable, that gets your heart rate up, whatever you can sustain, however often you can. Do some kind of resistance training. If you do some pushing, do some pulling, do some legs, try to work in progression somehow to it, whether you're doing more reps, sets, or weight, whatever. Do those 2 things whenever you can. You're already leagues ahead of most of the population. And one of the guides I was going to talk about briefly is examine.com. They have a coronavirus guide, which is really just a general stay-at-home health guide. And I'm posting a link to that in the chat. They show infographics. They're very evidence-based. They show links to all their studies that basically doing a combination of strength training and cardio together has the best benefit on mental health and effects on depression. Basically, like for overall health, we really should be doing a combination, especially now because mental health is really important. Being stuck at home, some strength training, some cardio, you're set.
You know what? That's an interesting point too. Cortisol as a hormone that's released under pressure, strain, and stress is something that can be amplified during with fitness, and that's also one of the reasons why, to my understanding, that you want to have those rest and recovery days. That where there's and correct me if I'm wrong, or feel free to add in to this. It's something that when attempting to guide your own mental health, overdoing the fitness can be problematic for that reason, because you don't give yourself the ability to have cortisol reduce back down to normal levels. You keep flooding your brain every day repeatedly with cortisol, and then it can stay for longer periods of time, and you don't get that the positive feedback. It maintains a negative cycle.
Yeah, so cortisol is regarded as a stress hormone or an alertness hormone, depending on what context we're talking about. Cortisol is normal. A lot of people try to think of cortisol as something we got to get rid of.
It happens.
Right, exactly. It's a very normal.
Always floating around.
It is. It is. But the problem is chronically elevated levels of something like cortisol, the chronic stress, because you're chronically over exercising, overtraining. Like if you're a streamer with beautiful, sexy man with white glasses, and you want to hit it 7 days a week, could be anybody, but that's an example of like you're overstraining yourself. And but it's true, actually. On that coronavirus guide about just healthy living from Examine, they have this cool infographic that you go check it out. It's on page 38. They talk about how there's basically a U-shaped curve for exercise. Too little exercise is bad for our health. Basically, if you're sedentary, that's bad for our health. Too much exercise is also bad for our health. If you're grinding yourself in the ground, not under recovering, that's bad for the immune system. That's bad for your mental health. That's bad for your recovery, your physical. It's bad across the board. So get that moderate amount. Yeah, sleep is super critical too. Absolutely.
Sleep and grow.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the whole saying, I don't know if you guys remember, like, no pain, no gain. That's very much a good way to tire yourself out too, because if you're feeling pain, whether it's just soreness or just build up lactic acid, you're going to just hurt yourself more, because it gets to a point where you get that critical mass of, I've worked out enough for that. And we talked about this, I think, in the pre-show too, is where you might be doing too much, and that's what leads to injury. But it also leads to you not growing anymore, right? If you're sore and you're working that muscle even further, you are destroying it. Because how do muscles grow? Well, they talk about micro tears, and that's all that science. You can look that up. I definitely recommend it. But then if you tear that even further, you tear tears upon tears before they have time to recover, you're just going to destroy them. You're just making muscle soup. Yeah, exactly.
That's like a really gross picture.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want that.
No, that doesn't sound good.
You don't want to see muscles that have been torn, or ligaments been torn either. They look they look like muscle
You
soup.
don't want an injury at a time where going to the doctor is not like the most straightforward thing.
That is also very true.
Yeah.
That
so
is a great
be
point.
careful. So we had a great question in chat. What are good ways to know if a workout you find online is good/safe? What type of sources should they be looking for? And if you just have any recommended resources for people to check out online.
My rule of thumb is always, if it hurts or causes any pain, it's probably wrong. And it doesn't mean it's wrong for the person who posted it, because they may have found incredible results, but it's wrong for you. And this is a theme that anytime you ask me about any type of fitness things, is if it hurts and if it doesn't feel comfortable, it's probably not for you.
I would also add on to that, don't ramp up too fast. Like, don't do too much too fast. So like, going on that point, like if you haven't exercised for years, day one, don't go run a marathon. Day one, if you want to start jogging, just start with walking. Maybe jog 10 steps and then walk 100 steps and then jog 10 steps and then like slowly ramp up. People who run marathons, they didn't start like, right out of the womb, I'm gonna run a marathon. Oh, I haven't done anything forever, I'm gonna run a marathon. It takes time to train up to that. Same thing for like, lifting, resistance training, cardio, all of that stuff. Go easy. So my rule of thumb for finding a program online is, if you're going to do some sort of resistance training, it should have pushing, it should have pulling, it should have legs. As long as it's hitting those, that's fantastic. And from this COVID-19 perspective, I don't want to go into the details of like, oh, you should do 10 to 20 sets per week per body part. That's kind of irrelevant right now. It's just pick what you can do given your equipment, your situation. Push, pull, legs, have some kind of progression in there where you're pushing harder over time. Go easy. Week 1, month 1, if you're feeling slightly fatigued in the muscles, just stop the set. You're fine. Like, you do not need to push hard. The same thing for any type of cardio. If you want to do HIIT cardio at home, anything gets your heart rate up for however long you feel comfortable doing it, I don't care. Just slowly ramp up to where you're pain-free, and over time you're doing a little bit more. So the example, like, you could Google for HIIT cardio, HIIT, high intensity interval training, HIIT cardio workouts online. You can look up YouTube, you can look up Insanity, P90X. There's so many ones out there. My advice is, don't push that hard on your first time doing it. Insanity is a famous one. You guys ever heard of people vomiting from Insanity?
No, but it sounds like something that would happen at the name.
Yes.
Of it.
So I used to run track for a long time, and whenever I had to do anything beyond at 400 meters or beyond, it was every time without exception. I don't know how to push myself. That's always been a problem, professionally, romantically, and athletics.
Yeah, you're a try-hard, man.
I know.
Put on your resume, I don't know when to quit.
Yeah.
But so like Insanity, people were just like, day one, they were actually following the entire program, and they shouldn't. Like, day one, you shouldn't be doing the entire program. It is just so insanely difficult. I can't do it. You have to be like a relatively trained athlete where you've kind of worked up to this. And so that's kind of my take home message. Avoid pain, like Dan was saying. Slowly work up to things over time. Some cardio, some push pull legs. You're doing a fantastic job.
I just think about like what the mental damage is on that. When you do so much in the first day, it feels fine because you're like, oh, I'm healthy. But then the next day you're so sore that you don't want to do anything else.
Not
when you have the second day of
You're not going to be able to make it into a routine if you get so sore that like you can't do it for like 4 days, and then you don't want to do it, right? It just breaks your routine. So I think like good pacing is really important. And
the basic like lizard brain response too to everything like that, right? Is like, oh, I touched the hot stove, that hurt. Let me never do that again.
Yeah.
Oh, I worked out so hard that I'm like crippled by it. I have a negative association with it now.
Yeah. I think it's also important to analyze the mental state right before someone makes that decision. From a mental health perspective, if someone's coming from a place of like, if you feel like you're beating yourself up, like, I'm not doing enough, man. I hate myself. I hate how I look. I'm doing everything wrong. If you build up all this self-hatred and that's fueling this, and then you're convincing yourself the only way forward is to make up for lost time, and the only way forward is to be like doing these extreme insanity workouts. I gotta like really like dig deep and push hard, no pain, no gain. Please stop. Like, you're fueling yourself. You're starting from the wrong place, and that's a risk. That's a recipe for injury, and that's also a recipe for like going on these cycles, going up and down, beating yourself up, and then making it unsustainable, and then you go back down, you beat yourself up again, you make it unsustainable. Like, slow steps of progression is so much more important than like pushing so hard week one.
That's actually a surprisingly good metaphor for streaming.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Well,
it's a good metaphor for life.
we see that whole push forward and stuff like that in pop culture all the time because, one, it makes a good montage, but two, it's mostly due to like military movies where they're actually not trying to build your body, they're trying to break your brain. And that's exactly what you'd be doing to yourself if you push yourself that hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's using the body as a tool in some of those ways where it's like, well, a tool can be used for a particular purpose, and once it's served its purpose, you're done with it.
Yeah.
Sports, you see that a lot too.
Yeah, I think especially during these times, like, giving yourself a break and you don't want to, like, this isn't a time for like having this complete transformation. Like, yeah, if you feel the motivation to do that to make yourself feel better, of course, but like, you shouldn't put any pressure on yourself to like make the most of this or take advantage of being home, or like, trying to push yourself when like clearly there's the circumstances right now are very extreme. And I kind of wanted to get into talking about dieting with this as well, because, we kind of talked about this during the pre-show, where how many of us have gained weight during this or lost weight during the pandemic? Like, what are some tips you have on dieting and having a diet right now?
I think one of the most important take-home messages to people is if you wanted to lose weight, but you have no gym equipment and like you live in New York City and you cannot go outside right now, you really can't do cardio. You can lose weight with zero gym activity. It's, as you've probably heard plenty of times, it starts in the kitchen, you know, all that stuff. Diet is so important, and I don't like the term diet because it's often loaded.
Yeah,
really, it's just quantity, calorie quantity. Start there. I don't care if you do vegan, keto, paleo, whatever. Start with the quantity of your food, and that does not cost extra money to eat less. It does not cost extra money to track your food. That's a free app you can get on your phone called MyFitnessPal. If you have no idea where to start and you would like to start losing weight or gaining weight, please start there with just looking at how much are you eating, what are you eating. This is a simple low-hanging fruit that I think everybody should give it a shot, at least for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I think on that point too, one of the things that I have promoted for a long time, calorie counting and meal tracking, really the biggest benefit, in my opinion, to it is simple awareness. Because I literally have no idea how many calories I'm eating and what the macro distribution is across that when I'm just eating food. Even if I don't change anything about my diet, the awareness goes a long way. Just the knowledge of what I'm putting in makes it so much easier to make tiny little adjustments or to make a decision in the moment of, you know what, maybe I won't do that because I'm probably over the limit of where I want to be, not really fitting into my long-term goal. It adds to that daily, like your daily experience, your daily engagement with just consuming food.
Absolutely. I think it also adds that, kind of like what you're saying, adds to the accountability too. Sure. I find myself, if I'm not tracking, I'm much more likely to just reach for snacks and just one more handful, whatever. But yeah, exactly. But like if I'm actually tracking, then and I'm trying to keep myself honest, I always track the food before I eat it, so that way like I kind of like force myself to stay on it. It helps me stick to my goals too. But spoiler, I'm actually not tracking right now because I'm actually bulking. I'm just being loosey goosey with it. I know how could he? But for a lot of people who have no idea where to start, I say give it a shot. It could be eye opening. You don't have to stick with the rest of your life, but it's a very useful thing to just take a few weeks to analyze what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think about like what you were doing before and how much exercise you were getting just passively. Because like maybe you're at a job where you stand all day, or you are walking around for, maybe you're a tech job and you can do it perfectly at home, but you were walking from cubicle to cubicle to cubicle and actually getting that exercise. You're not doing that anymore. You need to keep that in mind
That's a good
what
point.
kind of calories you're getting in. For me, I was traveling to my gym and taking that time, so there was a little bit of stuff going on. There was a lot more exercise in general. Now I just step out and work with this stuff, so it's a little bit different. Personally, I went through a few things over the last couple of months, so I ate a lot of food, and that, whether or not that was the same or what it was going, I was on like a higher calorie diet and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do with it. And then all of a sudden it turned into, oh wait, I'm not working nearly as hard. I got to be careful with that. And then you just started reeling it back and figuring out what exactly you're putting in and stuff like that.
Okay. So, you mentioned like with cardio, people that are stuck in an apartment, they can't go outside to go running. They don't have a treadmill. Where do you start? Like, do you have to run to have a cardio?
Great question. Really, cardio is just anything you can do to get your heart rate up. So I like to be creative with low space, low cost solutions. So one of them is Googling for HIIT cardio workouts on YouTube. They'll usually prescribe a mixture of leg and pushing workouts, stuff like that, like, burpees and push-ups and jumping jacks, stuff like that. That's fine because that's very accessible. Zero equipment. You're missing on pull, but that's another issue regarding the resistance training. So HIIT cardio workouts, YouTube, plenty out there, dime a dozen. Just make sure you're not hurting yourself. Stop if you're tired. Try to push a little harder next time. Jump rope is one that I think is forgotten about because it's so cheap. It's less than $20 for a jump rope. You don't need that much space. Hopefully you have the ceiling space for it. And that can get your heart rate up. Just Dance. I suck at Just Dance, but you know what? You don't have to stream Just Dance. Maybe you could, but it's kind of fun. You get lost in the music. You're kind of developing a skill. You're getting a workout. It's a fantastic way to enjoy what you're doing and get your heart rate up. So these types of things can keep going. If you have stairs in the house and it doesn't bother your knees, you can go up and down the stairs, back and forth. Keep yourself. If you hate cardio like I do, and a lot of people do, you could distract yourself with fantastic podcasts from like StreamerSquare. Watch the StreamerSquare VODs. That can help to keep you distracted while you are doing something good for your body.
And that brings up an interesting point too. So one of my favorite things to get my heart rate up is to just think about how much cool stuff we're doing at StreamerSquare. That really,
Yeah.
like 120,
Tell me more.
Yeah, it's it does all the work.
Yes.
Yeah, I've definitely I've spoken with Salty Sparks about the next show and spent like hours doing something where I'm just outside walking around the block a few times. But or now my new favorite thing is the jump rope. It is cool because not only is that super effective, but I think it's really easy to create goals with a jump rope because you when you first start jump roping, you do it a very short spurt, right? It's like, oh, I'll go for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. But getting 5-second intervals to increase in that is both a big challenge, but it's an easy trackable challenge, which has been my favorite thing to do. And yeah, that'll get your heart rate up. Oh yeah. Yeah, because before my cardio came from lifting. Like it would almost always be lifting. I'd sit on the bike to warm up a little bit, but when you're lifting 350 pounds off the ground, it'll get your heart rate up. And doing it a couple times, it'll do it. So that was mine, but now I'm not doing that anymore.
My own routine was with the coach, and it's all online. He's like, yeah, we don't really do any like cardio per se here, but people are always saying like, oh, you got to do cardio. And he's like, yeah, but try throwing a weight over your head and see if your heart doesn't go up. See if your heart rate isn't. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Cause I'm like tracking it at the same time and it cranks.
Yeah.
As long as you learn your lift, anything can be, and I mean that very particularly because you can injure yourself going too fast, but as long as you learn your lift, anything could be cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I have stairs, so I'll just go up and down the stairs, and I've gotten a little creative with it, and I'll bring the 10-pound medicine ball, and I'll, and like halfway down and at the top and bottom, I'll like lift the ball up into the air and carry it up and down, and that like gets you really fast. Like it's kind of surprising, like how exhausting that can be, like so quickly. And it's super accessible too, right? It's like just you're just walking up and down your stairs. Like
it's easy.
Yeah, one thing I like to focus on is just don't overcomplicate it. Really, like the goal of cardio, get your heart rate up as long as you can, as often as you can. The chances that you're going to overdo it, unless your name is Hunter Wild, is relatively low. So just if like the simple litmus test is I'm overdoing it if I'm starting to get pain or chronic issues that are not going away on their own. If that's starting to pop up, let's dial it back. Let's take a break. The goal right now is not to get jacked. The goal right now is to do a little bit of, you're not trying to min-max everything. We're trying to go for like lowest hanging fruits of some cardio, some resistance training.
Simple is almost always better. I don't do anything that's too complicated. It's also why I don't Olympic lift because that's my brain.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about doing things that you actually enjoy doing. Like, you're talking about Just Dance, and like 6 people mentioned Beat Saber. Like that's a great way to get cardio, and just like don't be miserable about it. There's so many different alternatives to get what you want done in a different way, right? So just find the one that you actually like doing, and like that's good enough for especially like right now. Like you have to be perfect.
Like we said earlier, or like we were talking about earlier, like for me, the biggest motivation tool I used was picking a sport that I enjoyed, and that happened to be powerlifting. At first, I thought it was bodybuilding, but then when you realize that most of what bodybuilding is the same thing with 1 billion reps, you're like, I'm just bored. So now with powerlifting, I'm constantly critiquing which cues I'm going to be using, the mentality of which lift is going to be the best for this situation, and being able to, well, we could talk about this later too, but the environment really helped me. I've been a member of 24 Hour Fitness since I was a junior in high school, But until recently, when I actually moved to LA, I joined a powerlifting gym specifically for powerlifting. There's a bunch of strongman stuff there, which is fun too. But the biggest point was I found a home where everything was enjoyable to be in. I loved the sport and what it was. And then there's a bunch of people who are all doing pretty much the same thing. So that helped me keep going way more. And when it comes to cardio, the most boring thing on the entire planet, which is cardio, you gotta find it. You gotta find something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just it'll eat you up if you don't.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who struggles with cardio.
I hate cardio.
Yeah, dude, I don't enjoy cardio at all. Like, I'll do it because I know I probably should. There's some aspects to it, but like, one way I look at it too is just don't do something you hate. Hopefully you love it, but if you don't love it, it's okay to settle for I don't hate this. Mm-hmm. So like, for example, the walking. So I have actually a treadmill desk, which is kind of just not practical these days because I don't think they're all sold out everywhere. It's $200. You go to TominationTime.com/treadmill. I have a link to a $200 one pre-corona prices, $200, $250. But it's a nice little, really compact thing, and you can multitask with it. You just take off the arm bar, so it's a landing strip. You get in front of your desk, get in front of your computer. You just walk. You can multitask, do social media, do streaming, do gaming, or just watch something. Watch your favorite StreamerSquare episode. # sponsored. No, but multitask because that allows us to save time. And if you don't enjoy something, it makes it more enjoyable because you found some other way to kind of distract yourself.
It's true.
Okay, question
you can
for
play
you.
Animal Crossing.
That's true.
You're not going to reduce your heart rate though.
Question. I am thinking about getting a like a stationary bike or an elliptical. Help me settle this decision. Which one do I go with? Pros and cons.
Which one do you feel more skilled at, and can you get your heart rate up better? Because I suck with ellipticals.
That's what I did at the gym was I used ellipticals because treadmills were I have a weird running like stroke or whatever. So
can you show us? Just imitate it for us. I'm just kidding.
No, I don't think so.
Almost.
So I don't really have a lot of experience on the bike, to be honest. Like it's been a long time. I'm used to elliptical, but I feel like the bike maybe it's obviously more compact, usually cheaper, but I don't know. Like, what do you think?
A couple of issues that come to my mind. One is elliptical is more expensive, is bigger, is bulkier. I am not skilled at that movement. I never got that good with it. I always felt like it was so awkward and hard for me to get my heart rate up. But that being said, the bike, another issue with the bike is it might hurt your butt after a while. You might have to invest in a really nice seat. That's just one major difference with a bike. It can be a little bit harder on your body long term. So how many hours per day do you plan on doing this? Do you want to multitask on the elliptical and like handle social media for an hour and handle that stuff and set yourself up to kind of just gently walk stride? And you can get your hands free. If you can do that, that might be a better choice with elliptical. But if you're thinking like, I'm just going to hit cardio on the bike 10, 20 minutes, 3 times a week tops, and I need to save space, I want to save money, I would do the bike.
Okay.
Did that help at all?
Interesting. It's an interesting point. Because like softer isn't better necessarily. Some people can really enjoy because they're like gel pads that you can add to the seat and whatever. But that can cause a number of issues if you're doing prolonged or regular biking. Actually finding the right seat for your butt is an interesting challenge. Like I was really, I did not expect that to be a thing. Turns out it's a thing. Yeah. And we can't exactly go out and sample them now, going out to stores and actually sitting on the different seats on bikes.
I feel like my problem is I already sit so much and I walk around the house, but like I mean I don't feel comfortable walking outside and like seeing people and like so I feel like sitting on a bike, like I don't want to just keep sitting. Like I should probably do a different stride other than sitting, right? So I feel like the elliptical will help with that, right? Because it's a little bit more movement. It's obviously like with your arms too, you do more movement. So yeah.
Have you thought about incline walking? I don't like jogging either, but incline walking, that's relatively challenging and low skill for someone like myself. And I'm also kind of like awkward with my stride. I'm not going to demonstrate, but incline walking is another thought.
Yeah.
What you saying, Dan?
I was just saying that helps you blow up those calves.
Oh yeah.
Well, like with the elliptical, you can change the incline too, where you're like, it's like it's high enough where you feel like you're on a bike, or you're like climbing a very steep mountain. So I think the ellipticals offer that flexibility.
My point with the treadmill is, from a cost and space perspective, treadmills, you could find a folding treadmill, even with post-corona prices, for under $1,000. And is probably more compact and more flexible with what you can do with it if you want to do incline walking. But with ellipticals, I just think about price and like how bulky they are. That's my concern. And I just wanted to throw out there the incline walking aspect.
Okay. Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
I personally just think you go with whatever you like more. I mean, in the end, it's going to be first comfort, because like for me, I can't sit on a bike for too long. It just ruins my back and like how my spine sits. An elliptical, I'm not good at that movement, but I do enjoy it more than a bike. And for me, boredom is huge.
Yes.
Especially with cardio. So if I'm going to find myself less bored with something, I'm going to go with that. So and if you would just enjoy doing that movement, I mean, heck, that's it right there.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Thank you.
Let me know what you go with. I'm curious.
Yeah, we'll see. I've been debating this for weeks at this point. I don't know. It probably will never happen, honestly. But I really do want to get something, because I do realize, even though a lot of places are opening up right now, it's still not very safe to be going to a gym. So having something that I can use even when I go back to the gym, and on the in between days where I would just be going just for the cardio, I could just do something at home. So
yeah, and touching on the sitting thing, I was reading a really good article that was citing a lot of literature on sitting too long and the negative health benefits. And I'll just summarize it right here. I can post the link to the article if anyone's interested. But basically, if you sit less than 8 hours per day, generally speaking, it's not that terrible for us. But if you're sitting more than 8 hours, then a lot of studies show that for some health markers, even exercise doesn't cancel out, or sitting for more than 8 hours a day cancels out some of the benefits of exercise. It depends on the health marker that we're looking at, and it depends on a lot of different factors. But that was just there's an interesting conclusion. It's interesting that a lot of different studies are showing this. And the moral of the story is, not moving is the problem. So even if you're sitting for 8 hours or 12 hours, but you're getting up, take breaks frequently, that often will kind of break that up, get the blood flowing again, which is what they hypothesize is going on. So sitting, that is a risk.
So like breaks, is that like 5 minutes an hour, or?
So one of the things with studies, unfortunately, is it'll take forever for them to really zone in on what the ideal number of minutes is, because they can only control for a couple of variables. Do a study is expensive. Yeah. It seems like the experts basically agree on once an hour, take a couple of minute break, get moving. That's whatever's really sustainable for you.
Yeah.
So like an ideal world, you'd be sitting 1 minute, standing 1 minute, sitting 1 minute, standing 1 minute, but that's going to be so disruptive. Like I'm not able to get anything done.
Especially if you're streaming too. Like people, like what are you going to do? Like people don't want to watch you do that.
So you just stare at like, okay, now it's like the hair camera, and now it's like the chin camera.
So yeah, and I do want to talk about like the streaming aspect of this too, because this streaming is, working from home has its challenges, but with streaming, you you can't really be interrupted, right? Like you can't just like start walking around your room because of the sound, and you need to be on camera and stuff like that. So for streamers, I think one tip, if you have money to spend, is getting like a standing desk. I know a lot of streamers are moving towards a standing desk solution to, alternate between sitting and standing, bringing the setup with them so that there's no loss in quality of the production.
Well, I completely agree with that. I think the best solution is a sit and stand desk where you can alternate between them. Yeah. And I would make sure it's sturdy enough, or it has enough surface area, and it can withstand the load to support all your equipment, so that everything can move with it up and down. Because you probably don't have the cable length to leave your desktop on the ground and then have the stand go up. That's cable length. Is something people might forget.
It's a challenge.
So I would plan to put everything on the desk so you can just sit and stand with it. That would probably be the best solution. one thing I want to point out is that studies show that even being sedentary, standing all day is also bad. Just like sitting all day is bad, standing all day is bad, but you're not moving, that is. You want to ideally do a combination of both. If by standing all day, it helps keep you like, you're able to kind of shift back and forth. You guys might notice I was shifting a bit because I'm also standing. That's probably better than just sitting motionless, right. Sure. But as I also said before, ramp up slowly, because sitting all day is bad for like your back and your butt. But if you're standing all day, that's bad for your feet and your knees. And if you go from 0 hours of standing every day to suddenly 8, your feet and knees will be killing you, and you're going to break yourself down faster than you can recover. So ramp up slowly.
Back, absolutely destroyed by standing. Like I can backpack, I can put 80 pounds on my back and hike for a long time and have no issues. If I stand for like 45 minutes, I'm like, oh boy, I'm just so old. Yep. It just kills me.
Yeah. It's actually like, I find it easier to walk all day than sit or stand all day. It feels better and more comfortable to just slowly move all day with a treadmill desk.
Walking itself, that's easy street for me, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you feel? How do you feel about medicine balls and sitting on a medicine ball while you're streaming?
Great question. I hate them. I'll explain why. But I also do ergonomic evaluations on my stream. So if anybody wants to like get their desk set up or streaming setup evaluated, like your neck hurts or like your elbow hurts, Dan, you're having some nerve pain. I'm happy to look to see if there's any low hanging fruit to make sure we're not like the ulnar nerve is not being trapped somewhere or pinched. Those types of things I think are very important to look at too. And so in the case of the medicine ball, the issue I have with the posture is, can you see me from the side? Am I in the camera, or is it too small?
I mean, I can see you. I don't know if chat can see you, but
yeah, I think they can. Yeah, I'm looking at this. So the issue, if you're sitting with no back support, which a medicine ball has no back support, it's fine if you're going to do that for like, let's say 20 minutes or whatever. You can maintain a neutral spine. But what's going to happen to almost everybody is you're gonna forget about it. You're gonna start getting tired. You're gonna start slouching, and with no back support, that's the concern. That over time you're gonna have a poor posture. So if you use a medicine ball as a reminder to kind of like have good posture and change things up, absolutely go for it. I think it's a mistake to sit on them all day as your chair replacement.
That's
ideally fair. Ideally the chair, you'll be in if you're gonna be in one single position all day. Hopefully you're in a relatively close to neutral posture and you are relaxed and supported. You're not trying to tighten your core. I actually hate that advice to tighten your core. You shouldn't be holding your core all day. You should be having periods where you relax.
Right. That's an exercise. That's less of a way of being.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. That definitely makes sense. And I think one cool idea is with Twitch you have channel points. You could use that as like a posture check. Like you could do that medicine ball or not, but that's a cool way to integrate like being healthy with the stream and something that's like subtle. It's not a huge disruption to the stream, right? So you have like a posture check. I've seen this with drinking water too, right? Drinking water on stream.
Hydrate.
Most of us don't hydrate properly when we're streaming. And having that as your channel points is like something fun for the viewers. They're helping you out, and it's a good reminder for you, right? Because it's a lot to think about when you're streaming.
Yeah, like using the medicine ball example, you can use channel points to like, all right, swap chairs to the medicine ball. You just roll it. They both roll. So you just roll the chair out of the way, roll the medicine ball there, and you sit on it for a timer of like 5 minutes. That I think would actually be a very good use of a medicine ball. Occasional sitting on it, that would break things up.
Yeah. Because like my motto is, it doesn't matter how you move as long as you move. And if you want to use something to change it up, great. But it should be constantly changed up if you're going to do it. And it comes down to this too. Invest in a good chair, not so that you can sit in it for longer, but so that it doesn't keep you from having a bad posture. Because that is probably one of the easiest things, is you'll start leaning a certain way to make it yourself more comfortable again. And then even if you find yourself getting uncomfortable with that, maybe it's time to get up and just take a lap around the room or something like that. Just get to moving.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about ergonomics and chairs because I used to suffer with back pain like really bad. I'm 34 now, but in my 20s I had crippling back issues to where I could barely walk, and I was extremely sensitive to some poor postures, which forced me to learn very quickly what I can and can't do, and it made me very passionate to help other people who are experiencing similar problems. So if you guys ever want to, that's a long discussion, but if you guys ever want to talk about ergonomics, I'm happy to talk, or come by my channel, do ergo reviews, or talk about chair shopping, what to look for, how to make a good chair, something cheap if you're on a budget, stuff like that.
Invest in the things between you and the earth. Your bed,
That's the one.
your chair, and your shoes.
And chairs.
Especially something you're going to be in for hours too.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Loco?
Your floor.
Yes, invest in your floor.
Good flooring.
Yes. I actually do it. I've got corkboard. It actually it's good for my knees.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's actually a question I have. When building a home gym, I guess like you should buy, like you should not put your gym equipment on a wooden floor, right? You should probably get some foam to line like the room, right?
How heavy are you going?
Wow, the equipment I think is a big thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, if you're going with like with just simple dumbbells and kettlebells, foam tiles are okay. Like this, like these generic types of, they're called like Eva foam. These are okay, but if you're going to be doing any kind of barbell lifting, these will permanently compress. So if you're going to do heavy lifting, get rubber. The cheapest place to get the rubber mats is Tractor Supply Company in the US. They're like $40. I don't know what you can see, but my floor is composed of a bunch. They're called horse stall mats. They're meant for horses, but they work fantastic for a home gym. It's like $50-ish for one mat that's 4 foot by 6 foot. They're hard rubber. They will never compress or never break. They're like the go-to.
If you're shopping at Tractor Supply Co., they have the best snacks I've ever seen.
What?
Going there for fitness purposes,
for humans,
very dangerous.
I was gonna say.
Like
Tractor
for horses
Supply
or
Company,
humans?
For people.
For people.
Tractor Supply's got crazy good snacks.
Yeah. No, that's what I've always heard. Oh yeah.
You like little peanuts. They got popcorn, candied popcorn stuff. All kinds of sugar-filled jerky. Oh my god! So
yeah.
Dan, what were you saying?
I was gonna say that's exactly what every time I've been. So like where I used to work at before I moved up to LA, and it was my coach did the same exact thing. He built his gym in his garage, and Tractor Supply Company was that, because it's literally made to hold hundreds and hundreds of pounds per square inch. Like that's what it's made for. But the biggest thing is for me is to not damage my flooring, and foam will stop that, but eventually it will get to a point where you're actually it'll change your lift too. If you're actually very particular about your lift, if you have any decompression in where the weight is being held, it will lower it, and you're basically doing a deficient lift. Like you're doing something lower than you should be, which is a completely different type of lift, and then you're no longer working the right muscles anymore. So it's very important to have that perfect, or at least something firm enough to be able to hold it.
Awesome. And then I think we're just about ready to wrap up here, but I know Hunter wanted to touch on accountability. And I think this not only like as a streamer, but just as a person, maybe, I talked earlier about me and my dad used to have a competition of, I would take a screenshot of how much I ran, and then he would take a screenshot of me, go back and forth. So any tips on that, for people that are watching?
Unfortunately, because go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, my biggest thing was, even if I were to build a home gym, I don't think I would cancel my gym membership, because it's been the biggest boon to my programming is having people around me that are not only pushing me to do exactly what they're working on, but so that I can see other people doing these things, so that I can be now like actually saying, hey, I want to look like that person one day, or I want to be able to lift as much as that guy's lifting, or I want to be able to have my stream look like Tomination's, Tom's time, and do his thing, and like I want to have all these things, because as much as we talk about how, if going to the streaming world now, how much we talk about comparing yourself to others is bad, it's not bad to see inspiration in others, though.
Yeah. And
being able to put myself in that environment has changed how much I've lifted in just a short period of time in general. And that has nothing to do with my program changing, has nothing to do with anything other than having, more tools to work with. But having people around you with like-mindedness is so big for keeping yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have a good answer because it's unprecedented times in terms of like disruptions, and your social distancing is something that most of us have never experienced ever. I know I haven't. So I don't have a good answer other than just consider if it's, is it helping you or is it hurting you? So kind of like what Dan was saying, comparing yourself to others, sometimes that can drive people to push harder. Other times it can be very depressing and you feel like, why do I look like this person? Or why aren't I performing as good as Hunter Wild or Loco? Like, why aren't I streaming as well? No, seriously, why guys? Tell me. No. But if it's weighing you down instead of actually like motivating you, so like accountability friends, it could be a double-edged sword. If by having a friend to exercise with online, like a Skype call, man, let's game and then let's do push-ups after each round. Or let's try to do pull-ups and let's try to progress and let's help teach each other if someone's struggling and just talk it through with one another. That could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. Because like it could be good because you have someone to keep you accountable. It could be bad because if they don't do it, does that bring you down? Because if by them not doing it, does that demotivate you to not try? One of my viewers I was helping, one of the reasons why he was slacking on the gym pre-corona was because his friend was not a morning person, and his friend did not. His gym buddy just kept flaking because he couldn't go in the morning, and so he started flaking. Like, man, it's time to change your buddy. Like, it's change friends. Yeah. So it goes both ways.
Don't get rid of them as a friend.
No, I'm just kidding. Get rid of them as a gym buddy. They were actually like good buddies, and they make fun of each other a lot. So I actually meant to say get rid of him as a gym buddy and just don't use the gym buddy, because he was the type of person who didn't really need it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, goals are super important, but in the same vein, it's important not to beat yourself up if you don't meet those goals, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
As long as there's something there, as long as you did it, like that's huge. I mean, like, one of the biggest weightlifting icons in the world right now is The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. His biggest thing is making it to the gym is like 70% of the battle, because at least you went there, because you're not going to go there and do absolutely nothing, right? You're gonna do something. So, just getting out of bed, or saying, instead of making the excuse of I'm too tired today, it's okay one day, but the moment you do that 2 days in a row, like start thinking about it. What are you going to do after that? Yeah. Now what? Exactly.
Yeah. A breach in your routine or habit is okay until the breach becomes habituated. So limiting the number of days in a row where you break that routine up, that's where that's the
right. Because one of the biggest things for humans is to create a habit, because we are creatures of habit. No matter who you are, I don't care who you are, there's a habit that you do every single day, and breaching that is okay, but I would truly try to stay away from that at least a month or two after doing your routine, because at least in a month you've gotten into that routine, and then you know that, oh, I'm seeing something change here. I'm actually seeing the progress here. So if I need to take a break because I'm not feeling well, definitely I'm going to do that. But I know that I want to get back to that routine and get back to that
because
schedule.
you've seen it working.
Yeah, I think initially for me, it's always, I think, the hardest starting the routine. But once you get into it, my motivation, was different, because my motivation changed to, I don't want to lose the progress that I have. Like, that got me out and into the gym, because I was like, I've gone so far. This is the best I've done. Like, I don't want to, go back, and it sucks. This is like, so
I talked to Hunter about this
right now.
Yeah, I talked to Hunter about that exact thing, not getting hurt. It was the biggest fear. Like, if I spent more time figuring out how to not get hurt so that I didn't spiral into this deep, dark depression of losing everything I just worked for.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I've come from a place of deep, serious injury because my back problems, right? I could barely walk. I couldn't even like squat anything. Squatting 65 pounds crippled me to the point where I could like not walk for a couple of weeks. But coming from that, like, I completely agree, man. Like, just getting yourself to a point where you're not or hurting yourself and losing progress. But also for like the habits part, I completely agree with Dan about building the habit. Once you build that habit, you don't really need willpower anymore. Willpower is overrated. It's a temporary resource that gets depleted. If you want to use willpower initially because you're like, all right, today's the day I'm going to make a change, go ahead and ride that as long as you can, but understand that willpower and emotions come and go. The better thing is stick with it for a few weeks, few months, try to make it to that golden spot where it becomes a habit and it is suddenly not so difficult. Another thing I wanted to touch on too was if you're failing, like as you guys were talking about, like if you keep stopping your routine, it's important to take a few moments to analyze, like, what was going on before you made that decision? Like, what led to that decision? Was it, did I fail my diet or calorie goals today because I saw like the bag of cookies or like the chocolate, box of chocolates sitting on the kitchen counter? Was it that I was driving, like pre-corona, driving past on my way home? I drive past fast food places and I smell it. Every time the window's down, I smell it.
Yeah.
Do I really just hate this exercise routine? I'm getting burnt out by it. Taking a few moments to think about before the decision is made, I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm not going to stick to my diet. I'm not going to exercise today, whatever it is. Think about what led to that and start troubleshooting there and start trying to tweak variables to make it work for you.
Yeah, there's some cognitive behavioral stuff that plays out really well with that, which is what are the conditions that created either the good or the bad choice? Trying to obviously replicate the ones that do the good, trying to find ways to circumvent the ones that do the bad, or at least recognize what they are so you can see them in the moment and go like, oh, okay, I'm the one experiencing this thing, but I have choice outside of just being reactive to this condition of maybe I didn't have enough food today yet, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a little angry.
And to the snacks on the table thing, I actually read an interesting article where companies like, Google have reformed their company lunchrooms to moving the snacks and the dessert to the end of the buffet line or whatever, and actually moving it even 10-15 feet away from like where the checkout is, right? So it's those few steps to take to actually go grab some cookies or grab a soda actually do deter people from getting those things. So, obviously you take this to when you're at home, not buying the snacks, or, you live with other people, you got to be reasonable. Like they want snacks, putting them in a place where they're out of sight. So you're not opening the fridge and they're right in front of you, or they're not right at your table. That will actually help a lot towards like you not thinking about the snacks, or you not even bothering to, go to the pantry, to in the back of the pantry to go get like your cookies.
Yeah.
I was talking about this exact example this morning.
Really?
Go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say, there's an obesity researcher. His name is Stefan Guyenet. I typed out his name in chat. He focuses on this whole thing, which is just the whole resource cost required to obtain the goods will impact our decision making. So, like the Google example you gave, the same thing with foods in the pantry. If whatever you have closest to you, you're more likely to reach for than something that's a lot harder. That's a higher resource cost. If you have to move everything out of the pantry to reach back there to grab it, you're way less likely to get it. The classic extreme example I give is the resource cost associated with, let's just say donuts. I love donuts, man. I really freaking like donuts. But let's just say to get donuts, I had to drive to this really good donuts. I had to drive 1 hour through traffic, and I had to park in this crappy parking lot that's too small. I had to like drive around for 10 minutes to find parking. I have to go wait in a 1 hour line to pay $20 per donut. I'm not buying those donuts. There's way too much resource cost associated with it. But if I just happen to have a box of donuts in the workplace on the way to the bathroom, every time I go to the bathroom, there's a box of donuts. It's free. No one's watching me. No one's judging me. And they say, have a sign that says, yeah, we're going to throw this away if no one takes it. Oh man, that's like a resource cost is zero. And I feel compelled. I have to eat it. So thinking about like that, like how much resource cost is associated with this is going to make a huge impact on our decision making. And you can flip that around. If you put a bowl of vegetables on your desk, if you're going to be in front of your desk for hours, you put a bowl of vegetables, carrots and celery, you're way more likely to just reach for that and start snacking on that all day, which is you're doing yourself a good thing. Yeah. You're filling up on, assuming your goals are weight loss, you're filling up on less calories, you're eating more veggies. It's a fantastic flipping this around to change your human behavior. Yeah.
Use your environment to reflect your goals.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
I from a coaching's perspective, and from a gamer's perspective, I ask what kind of games people are into. If you're into a resource management type of game, you probably want to keep track of everything, because if you're saying, oh man, I have this many calories left, how can I break this up into more healthier items? Or if you're somebody that's high impact, like playing like first person shooters or something like that, you're gonna exactly make things harder to get to, just like that, because that is your type of personality. That if there's something in front of me that I can easily grab, it's precise, it's right there, I'm gonna take that. Versus somebody who's going to keep the numbers going and saying, well, I can't afford that today, maybe tomorrow, if I then do better at what I'm eating that day.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. I like that a lot. All right, so unfortunately, we do have to wrap up here. We are, that's it. That's the show already. I want to thank you guys, Tom, Dan. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's do some shout outs. We don't have any Your Brand, Your Business after this, so this is our last show of the day, but we do have some cool content coming up that I will talk about in just a minute. So hang in there. First, let's do some shout outs. Dan, starting with you. Who are you? Where can we find you? What are you up to?
Hello, my name is Danotage. Well, I stream here on Twitch most nights, very late at night. I do the third shift for the most part. And I also stream on StreamerSquare. So every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, you can find Dan Stream of That, where we talk about a lot of your daily life and professionalism within this industry and do some cool stuff. We're in the middle of a 4-part segment right now, which is pretty cool, which will be continuing that tomorrow. Pretty soon we will have a fitness only YouTube channel so that I can actually split that up and have gaming and, you know, have very different things going on. I haven't said anything about this yet, but I have some art pieces commissioned where it's Dungeons and Dragons themed, and we're going to do our very best to make you look like your Dungeons and Dragons character, usually muscular and ready to fight, some badasses. So we're gonna work on that and do some really cool stuff. And yeah, that's me.
That's awesome.
Hang out.
That's awesome. Tom, what about you?
My name's Tom, Tomination Time. I do diet fitness streaming in the morning. I basically do my workout at my home gym, and we do Q&A. We also do ergonomic reviews. We're talking about that. Just honestly trying to help people move forward a little bit to become a little bit healthier, a little bit stronger, whatever that looks like for everybody. At night, we do some gaming with my waifu, Helen. She joins me on stream. We've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. We're kind of almost done with that. And then we're gonna go back to The Witcher. Sometimes Geralt makes an appearance.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Geralt is here. Okay, I did not think this through. But Geralt. So we do some like scuff cosplay, just have fun, have some drinks. We kick back. I drink a fitness streamer drinks alcohol and eats some junk sometimes. Yeah, sometimes we do that. So also almost forgot to mention, if you're interested in my services, I'm gonna post a link to some group coaching.
Sure.
We're testing out a new form of group coaching, which is really just, I think there's a hole in the market for people who are not sorry, I'm trying to pull up another link.
So your wife in chat just says, "Oh, his services, Kappa."
His services. But so I posted some links for a Google sign-up form or TominationTime.com/5H, 5 pillars of health: sleep, nutrition, activity, and mental health and community. And basically the focus is on people who struggle to stick to diets or exercise plans, whatever it is. If you're someone who struggles to stick with it, we want to help you through group coaching and just kind of help you break down like where are we failing? What's hard? What's difficult? Let's kind of work through this. So that is what we're focusing on, is light on the plans, high on the accountability, and high on the discussing with people where they're at and try to work through whatever they're struggling with. Awesome. So we're launching that next week for the first week, actually. So
congratulations.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Hunter, what about you?
I am the Hunter Wild. I stream on my channel in here. What about you, Loco?
Okay. What are you playing?
SnowRunner right now. It is. I usually avoid this association, but it is the Dark Souls of truck driving games.
Oh.
Yep.
It really is.
Oh.
Yep.
It's brutal and I love it.
I love that game.
I don't know if I'd be good
What's
at
the game
that
again?
SnowRunner. It's like a heavy, like realistic physics truck driving game.
It's Get Stuck Simulator.
It's like definitely yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Fun. I am Loco. You can find me at twitch.tv/LOWCO. I do a lot of talking. We talk about gaming news, streaming, We'll be talking about the Ubisoft TOS thingy tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we talk about interesting things. We do reaction trailers and more. We also play games. We are doing Man-Eater and Monster Train this week as our games.
Monster Train.
Yeah. I'm hearing good things about it, so I want to check it out.
Shark PG.
Yeah, and we do stream scene here on Mondays. If you guys enjoy this content, make sure to follow. Tomorrow we have a mod AMA. If you have any questions for moderators, whether you're a moderator yourself or even a streamer trying to find mods or refine your mod team, definitely check out that show. That is going to be tomorrow before Dan's Stream of Thought at 4:45 Eastern Time. Come by, check it out. And on Wednesday, we have Hot Fix. I'm sure we'll be talking about the Ubisoft thing. Wouldn't be surprised if that was this week's topic. And then we have our second workshop. We're going to be doing a Twitch workshop. So if you want to get started streaming on Twitch, that's going to be Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern Time. So follow
Really
the channel.
excited for that one.
Yeah, it should be really good. So make sure to follow the channel if you guys want any updates on when we're live. But other than that, that is it for us on Stream Scene this week. We'll see you next week, next Monday, same time, same place. Have a great week, and we hope to see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.